Good morning and welcome. I am Sabrina Woodlief, a member of the board at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Reston. Whether you are on Zoom or here in the church sanctuary, we are so glad that you're here. No matter how old or young you are, wherever you are on your spiritual journey, however you identify, and whomever you love, know that you are welcome. You are welcome to this place, whether you are attending this service in person or on Zoom. Congregants who are present in person, let's take a moment to wave hello to our online friends. I have several announcements to share with you this morning. Thank you to everyone who donated toiletries and snack bars that were packed in religious education last Sunday. The Embry Rucker Shelter greatly appreciates receiving the bags. This weekend, many of us enjoyed camping out and meals and activities at Lake Fairfax. Raise your hand if you attended. All right. Thank you especially to Kelsey Rideout for taking the time to lead in organizing the camp out, and to all the meal planners, cooks, leaders, and everyone else who participated. Next Sunday is our intergenerational Halloween worship service. This will include a trick-or-treat for food in Cornerstones. Look for the wish list in the foyers or in the e-blast and wear a costume. The flyers are on the tables inside as well as in the foyer. Those in 12th grade and under, you are invited to bring pumpkins for the Halloween festival after that service. The Hypothermia Prevention Program, HPP, at UUCR provides weekly hot meals to our homeless neighbors from December to March every year. The HPP is available in order to give people a hot meal in a warm location. Unhoused individuals often suffer from hypothermia due to the cold weather in the winter, so each week we provide dinner to several dozen individuals being serviced at the Embry Rucker Shelter in Reston. We are actually looking for someone to lead the HPP efforts and organize this program. In the past, the lead for program coordinates the Dinner with Cornerstones, an organization servicing those in need in our community. The lead would bring together a group of volunteers to buy the ingredients, cook the meals, and deliver. Currently, we have no one to lead this important program, and we have a long-standing relationship with Cornerstones. The shelter is in need of this service. So if you are interested in learning more about this program or would like to lead it, please contact Tim Norton. Is Tim here today? We can definitely get his contact information if interested. Also, the Temporary Overnight Shelter Program, TOS, is an all-year-long program at UUCR where we provide bagged lunches to our unhoused community members every other week. Similar to HPP, the TOS is coordinated with Cornerstones, and the lead brings together a group of volunteers to make lunches for people at the Embry Rucker Shelter in Reston. This lead would organize the group and coordinate meals with Cornerstones, so if you're interested in that, please also see Tim Norton. A note that all expenses incurred for these services are reimbursed by the church. And Reverend Aileen will share the last announcement.
So today at the Florist United Methodist Church, Voice is sponsoring Homes for All rally, which I've been plugging for the last several weeks. It is today at 3:30 to 5 at the Florist United Methodist Church. We're going to be meeting with legislators and people from all congregations, interfaith congregations all over the region, to try and highlight the issue of affordable housing, and also in particular the legislation for Yes in God's Backyard, which allows religious organizations and churches to set aside land on their property to create affordable housing. So I hope to see at least some of you there this afternoon. I will be there, 3:30, Florist United Methodist Church. UU Accotink is bringing 43 people, just for reference.
A little friendly competition across congregations never hurt. Now, let us center ourselves for worship. Please take a moment to silence or turn off your electronic devices. And I invite you to take some deep, quieting breaths with me. Let us now enter our time of worship together as we enjoy this morning's prelude.
Our opening word, good morning. I'm Reverend Aileen Fitzke, and it is my honor to serve this congregation. Our opening words this morning are by Reverend Michelle Collins. Source of love, we come carrying the weight of our own harsh verdicts, guilty, insufficient, forever falling short of some impossible standard. We who would never speak to a friend the way we speak to ourselves in the dark hours before dawn. There is a tenderness we save for others that we ration from our own souls. A forgiveness we grant freely to strangers while our own mistakes echo endlessly in memory's courtroom. We have learned to be generous with everyone but the person in the mirror. Teach us the revolutionary act of self-befriending. When shame whispers its familiar poison, may we remember we are not our worst moments. We are not the sum of our regrets. We are beloved, imperfect, gloriously human, worthy of the same gentle mercy we yearn to give the world. May we learn that loving ourselves is not vanity, but necessity, the deep well from which all other love must flow.
Good morning. Our opening hymn today is number 100, I've Got Peace Like a River. We're going to do all 6 verses, so please rise in body or spirit and join us.
Soul. Today's chalice lighting is O Divine Love by Cooper Garrett. O divine love, with the kindling of this flame, may we realize and love our true selves, our true round belly selves, our true bags under the eyes selves, our true naturally hairy selves, our true wrinkles on our skin selves. May our self-love help keep our chalice ablaze.
Here at UU Reston, we have a tradition where we sing our covenant together every Sunday morning. Love is the spirit of this church. We remain seated to sing our covenant. If you are here today for the very first time, we invite you to accept this as our blessing to you.
Good morning. Now is the time for all ages, so if anyone is feeling young of body or young of spirit, I invite you to come forward. And welcome, welcome. I wonder, Vivian, would you like to see what's in our Wonder Box today? I wonder what that might be. And then you can just sit on the floor right here. Oh, it looks like a heart. And I wonder why that might be there. So let's see. One day, two best friends, Rowan and Wren, were walking to school. Rowan tripped on the sidewalk and said, "Oh, I'm such a klutz." In math class, the math tests were passed back out. Rowan looked down at the grade and turned to Wren and said, "I missed several questions. I'm just so stupid." Later that day, at lunch, Rowan laughed when someone spilled their milk. And Rowan said, "That wasn't nice. I'm such a meanie." Wren turned to Rowan and said, "What would you ever tell me that I was a klutzy, stupid meanie?" And Rowan said, "Of course not." Wren then asked, "What would you think if someone else said that about me?" And Rowan said, "I'd be sad and angry. You're my best friend, and nobody says things like that to my best friend." Wren answered, "But you just did. You are my best friend, and you said all of those things about yourself." Rowan thought about this as they walked to the playground. After a bit, Rowan said, "I guess I would be sad and angry if you said those things about you, because you're my best friend. And maybe I can work on watching where I walk, study a little harder, and maybe not laugh at people. all without being mean to myself. Ren said, "Yeah, we all make mistakes. Race me to the monkey bars." So just like Rowan, we all sometimes need reminders to be a little nicer to ourselves, to show compassion and kindness. We'll be exploring this further today, but I'd like to invite you to try something with me now. Get comfortable in your chairs. Take a couple of deep breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. And then again, in and out. And if you're comfortable, you can close your eyes. Put both of your hands over your heart. And then I'll say a line and ask you to repeat it with me. And then we'll take a couple more breaths and feel how those words feel to us. Are you ready? May I be filled with love. Your turn. May I be filled with love. May I be happy. May I be happy. May I be well. May I be well. May I be at peace. And may I be at peace. May I be filled with love. May I be filled with love. Now, I invite you to give yourself a big hug. Can you try that? And feel yourself filling up with love and acceptance for yourself. I believe if we do that, if we fill ourselves up with love and acceptance for ourselves, it just can't help but spill out and help other people around us feel loved and accepted too. Thank you. And we'll do some more activities in religious education. If you're in 12th grade or younger, I invite you to leave now as we sing Go With Joy.
It's now the time in our service for the sharing of joys and concerns, so that no one ever has to hold them alone. If you're joining us remotely this morning, you may wish to light a real or virtual candle wherever you are to mark what is in your heart. As members of the in-person congregation, place stones in the water here in the sanctuary. If those of you at home would like to share what's on your heart today in the congregational chat on the screen, please write to all attendees, and please remember that what you share will be public. Those at home may then read others' joys and concerns shared in the chat and enter into your own time of reflection and prayer as we all listen to Diane and Alexis play our meditation music. So I invite those in the sanctuary to come up and place stones. Let us be one in prayer and meditation. Spirit of life and love that so faithfully animate our creation, we are grateful for the community that is with us in times of both joy and sorrow. We hold in our hearts this morning all who are facing any hardship or difficulty, those who are grieving or facing illness or injury to themselves, their friends, or their loved ones. For all those who braved the beautiful weather yesterday and went out for the No Kings rally wherever you went, thank you. In particular this morning, we hold in our hearts and prayers all those who are suffering from war and violence, both domestically and abroad. For them, we light this candle. Let us take a moment of silence.
As a self-funded church, UUCR relies on the generosity of its members and friends to fund daily operations and to ensure that our church and its resources are here for us and others, now and in the future. Pledges support our worship and music programs, our religious education programs, programs for members and friends, community outreach, and connections to Unitarian Universalism. We now invite you to support the work of UU Reston by making your donation to the collection plate if you are here in the sanctuary, or at the link on the slide and in the chat box. Thank you for your generosity and support of our beloved spiritual home.
faith, do you see my creed and choose?
Thank you to the choir. That was beautiful. When the pandemic started, I had been in my first full-time called ministry about 5 months. I had barely gotten to know my congregation, and suddenly I can only interact with them online. So I turned to the UU Ministers Facebook group for suggestions, answers, and advice. For several months, I read what different ministers were trying and what they were doing. But after a while, I started getting moments of doubt. Why wasn't I doing all those things? Was I a terrible minister that I couldn't find the time to do all those things for my congregation? Why did I pick this profession at this time? And my mind was filled with anxiety and self-doubt. And I did what I should have done much earlier. I took a break from social media. And I felt much better about myself. I stopped comparing what I was doing to what all these other people were doing, some with far more resources of staff and money than I had. I just stopped. I comforted myself with the fact that I was doing enough and was, in fact, in those early days, doing far more than I should have been, trying to live up to impossible expectations, not imposed by others, but by myself. I simply stopped beating myself up, comforted myself with the fact that I was doing what I had the energy to do, and that it would be enough. We live in a very competitive culture that demands that we are the best all the time. We have to be the smartest, most productive, most beautiful, most fit, most everything. And much of the time, the expectations of what we should be are unrealistic and destructive. I once watched this video on YouTube about how these layout artists in fashion magazines manipulate the images of the women in the magazines, elongating their torsos and legs to give this totally unrealistic standard of beauty. How could we possibly compare ourselves with these beauties in the magazine when they don't even look like what they look like? Social media also gives us a skewed notion of what ideal lives are. We look at others' social media feeds, we see lives that are carefully curated to leave out all the bad parts. Sometimes all we see are others' vacation pictures or posts when they've accomplished some extraordinary feat or have just gotten a job promotion. We rarely see the full reality of people's lives. And yet these carefully curated pictures of reality are what we find ourselves comparing ourselves to. And it isn't real. Gone are the failures, the times when people have fallen short. These are carefully airbrushed out, like the flaws in the magazine layouts. And yet, interestingly enough, when people are asked to rate themselves on positive personality traits, most people rate themselves above average. As researcher Kristen Naef writes, research shows that people tend to think they are funnier, more logical, more popular, better looking, nicer, more trustworthy, wiser, and more intelligent than others. And ironically enough, most people think they are above average at their ability to view themselves objectively. And that tends to make people far more critical of themselves when they fall short. We hold ourselves to these unrealistic standards, and then we fail to accomplish them. I was once in a restaurant when I heard this father saying to his child, and I couldn't see them, they were behind me. You have to be perfect in everything, always strive for perfection. Nothing less is acceptable, anything less is failure. Or at least something like that. So I turn around to see who the father is looking at. And I see this 4-year-old child staring up wide-eyed. And my first thought was, boy, this kid's gonna need therapy someday. But it also speaks to the larger societal expectations of perfection. It is no wonder that we find ourselves beating ourselves up for not reaching enough for some goal, or not doing enough, or being enough. Voices in our heads from childhood, from parents, relatives, friends, religious traditions, who, though they thought were doing the best for us, as that father in the restaurant probably thought that he was doing the best for his 4-year-old, these messages sent to us that we are not enough, that we are never enough. But the truth is, we're always enough. We were born enough. We were born to love and be loved. That is the basis of our values, the inherent worthiness and dignity of all people, including ourselves. And we hold love at the center. And yet it is so much easier to love and forgive others than it is to love and forgive ourselves. This drive to perfection, this always doing more and more, always striving to be better, stronger, faster, more beautiful. These are based in societal expectations, which differ from culture to culture. There's this cute story that Sharon Salzberg writes about the Dalai Lama. Someone asked him in a large gathering, how do we work on self-hate? And it took him a moment. After several translations, he didn't have a word for that. He didn't even understand the concept. And so he said, I have to add that to what I think about the world. Place to place, different historical time and different historical place. All of these things have different expectations. And I'm not saying we shouldn't have goals and aspirations. We should. It is good to have purpose in life and to do things that bring us life and a sense of accomplishment. But they are not what defines our worthiness. Here is the thing about particular times and places. We live in a very atomized culture that pits people against people. In our highly individualized society, we are constantly competing for everything so that we, as individuals, get ahead, whatever that means. And then we fall short. We do not win. We are not the best at something. There are forces beyond our control that thwart our efforts. We fail spectacularly. And then those voices that begin, I'm so stupid. How could I have let that happen? Why am I facing this particular loss? If only I had been stronger, faster, more beautiful, this disaster event situation, it wouldn't have happened. But we fail to realize that, now I know I'm not telling you something you don't already know. Everyone fails. No one is perfect. Everyone does stupid things. Everyone gets sick. Everyone experiences loss, pain, and some sort of suffering. That is simply the nature of the human condition. In our isolation, in our individual lives, we think we are the only ones who have ever experienced what we are experiencing. When we realize that our suffering mirrors the suffering of all other people, we can feel compassion for ourselves, and we can feel compassion for others and those who are suffering also. Those carefully curated Facebook pages belie the tragedy we all suffer. Self-compassion, especially in a culture that tells us to be perfect all the time, is very difficult. We create stories in our heads about the particularity of our own failures. One time years ago, I was working in a lab and I had left for the evening and had gone on with my evening when suddenly I realized I had forgotten to turn something off in the lab. And I went into this self-dialogue, how stupid, how incompetent, how foolish, and then I caught myself doing it. And I stopped. And I drove back to the lab and turned off the machine. It was easy to do. I didn't have to even begin the self-beating up process. But it takes a long time to learn to silence, or at least recognize, those critical voices inside our heads. And we can learn to do it. We can learn to stop beating ourselves up. Well, we can learn to recognize when we are beating ourselves up. Those internal critics will always be there, but we can stop them before they start. And this isn't easy, especially if the voices have been with us a very long time, and if we believe that beating ourselves up is a way to motivate our own behavior. Writes Caverly Morgan in The Heart of Who We Are, most of us cling so firmly to the notion of improving and striving that we fear that if it were not for those critical voices in our heads, we'd lose motivation entirely. And then she goes on to write, the opposite is actually true. It is the negative self-talk that kills our natural tendency to be engaged with life. It dampens our creative spirit. It negates our capacity for childlike, wondrous engagement with the world. When we practice self-compassion, it allows us to see those voices for what they are. When we start to hear voices, we can recognize that they are starting. We can acknowledge that they are there. We can inquire what they are saying. Maybe I did mess up, but it's not the end of the world. Nurture yourself. Reassure yourself that everyone makes mistakes and that your mistake, mostly, is not the end of the world. Caverly Morgan writes that what that might sound like, and I really love her description of self-compassionate talk. This is a self-compassionate internal dialogue that replaced her negative self-talk, and what she did was she burnt a meal at a monastery that she was working at. And as she was walking away, she heard the voice of internal self-compassion. You did the best you could. That's plenty. So you made a mistake. No one died that you know of. I see your goodness. Your goodness has nothing to do with the performance or meeting a conditioned standard. It will be tempting to feel embarrassed when you go to the main building today. There's nothing to be ashamed of. You don't have to try so hard all the time. I see you, and it's okay. People came here for the retreat experience, not the gourmet food. You are here to be a monk, not a flawless chef. I adore you. I see you. Isn't that way better than you stupid, incompetent being? How could you have messed up something as simple as soup and bread? And when we allow ourselves grace, when we mess up, it becomes easier rather than more difficult to become more competent human beings. When we realize that we, along with all other people in the world, are not perfect, we can be more compassionate to ourselves and to others. We can believe in our own inherent worthiness and dignity. Amen, and blessed be.
Our closing hymn is number 1053, How Could Anyone, in the teal hymnal. It's short, so we're going to listen to Alexis and Diane play it through one time, and then we'll sing it twice together. So please rise in body or spirit and join us.
Our benediction this morning is by Reverend Linda Barnes. May love always be at your center. May you embrace your growing with compassion. May courage be yours as you answer your heart's calling. May beauty and wonder be yours even when the going gets tough. And may love always be at your center. May it be so.
The chalice is now extinguished, but its light lives on in the minds and hearts and souls of each one of you. Carry that flame with you as you leave this place and share it with those you know, with those you love, and most especially with those you have yet to meet.